The Social Welfare Integrated Program Initiative, SWIPI, is a non-governmental organization established over 2 years ago by like-minded professionals from different sectors.
SWIPI, Social Welfare Integrated Program Initiative, was established 2.5 years ago by a group of friends. It's a non-governmental organization, and its vision is to take care of orphanages, vulnerable children, elderly care, and foster care. That's what they're interested in.
SWIPI engages in transformational programs in children's welfare, education, and health in line with its vision of empowering communities and changing lives one after the other.
SWIPI, I think, is a good initiative. If they run with the vision very well, they will definitely need a lot of funding to carry out all these ideas, and a lot of learning, comparing elder care knowledge being practiced in other countries all over the world, and improve the existing structure that we have here. Those are the things I want to do: support, encourage, collaborate with the government as much as possible, and encourage the NGO to move forward.
The not-for-profit cares for children in orphanages, including sponsoring their education and healthcare, providing mobility equipment for the physically challenged, and geriatrics, that is, healthcare for the elderly.
Now, when we talk about elderly people, who are the people who are called elderly? There are different definitions depending if you're quoting WHO or UN. But for the purpose of our own environment, elderly people are essentially those who are aged 60 years and above.
Elderly persons, defined by the United Nations as those aged 60 and above, make up 12.3% of the global population. Today in Nigeria, over 9 million people are 60 years and above.
Before now, the concept of geriatrics was essentially an academic concept. But in recent time, because we have now come to realize that people, due to the advancement in science and in therapeutics, people are now having longer lifespan. Today we have our population 60 years and above, almost a quarter of the total population.
With estimates by the Global Age Watch Index stating that the figure will increase to over 20 million by 2030. Despite their sizable number, our country has no functional policy and only a handful of specialist geriatric centers.
It must be noted that there are a lot that the government needs to do in terms of policy that they have not yet done. The government needs to recognize and identify that the elderly population is a new population. We are all getting older now. We are going to have there's a paradigm shift in terms of demography, that we are going to be having more people living into their 60 years and above. So we need to prepare for this future that will also be upon us.
As we speak now, the government is trying so much to bring in policies on aging, but also the implementation is the key.
I can't count how many functional world standard elderly homes we have in Lagos, in Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Abuja. They are not there. If you see a few maybe built by individuals that are trying to fill a gap, but this is something that government needs to focus on.
Apart from insufficient centers, training is also an issue.
Training of the doctors at the primary health care system. The care of the elderly is very specific. It's multidisciplinary, and it has to be integrated into the healthcare system. So we need to have training for those people working in the primary health care centers. We need to also reorientate our health workers.
Most of the elderly cannot afford treatments in the few available geriatric centers.
Hospital pé general tí wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ pé general ó ti kúrò ní general because ara ọmọ ìkéré gan ìyá gòkè wọ́n ní general gbé lọ síbẹ̀ sí wọ́n máa ní kẹ́ lọ mú iye kan wá ẹlòmíì tí ó rò wá àti jẹun ṣé òun ló fẹ́ rúwà tí fi sí hospital.
All these have further worsened the situation of elderly persons, most of whom are abandoned, abused, and reliant on the goodwill of other people.
Ìgbà tí mo jẹ́ mo bá grandma lórí ìdìbò rẹ̀ tó yẹ pé pp wọ́n dẹ̀ ní ìtọ̀ ṣúgà yìí so wọ́n gbé wọn dìde sùn.
Commendably, SWIPI is helping to care for the elders like the Shaibu based in Ibadan or your state.
When they met the Shaibus, especially Mama, Alaja Shaibu, she was bedridden. She was very weak. She was ill, very ill. And the impression, the history they gave us was that they've gone to several hospitals and then they couldn't get the necessary care at the job. They were just at home.
When we met them, the wife, was in a very deplorable state in terms of health. Their physical environment was also not something to write home about. Now, we did initial assessment. We found out that this woman had poorly controlled blood sugar, diabetes mellitus. She also had poorly controlled blood pressure, hypertension. She had bilateral osteoarthritis. She had challenge with her vision. The husband, who is also, I think she is 67 years old, had poorly controlled hypertension and osteoarthritis. In the lady, in the woman, the elderly woman, what precipitated that hyperglycemic state was urinary tract infection, which was compounded by her poor drug use. She could not afford to even, she knew she had diabetes, but she could not even afford to buy the medication and use. So she was confined to bed. She couldn't move, she couldn't stand up from bed for months.
Tó jẹ́ ìyàwó mi ó weak ó sick gan ìgbà yẹn gbogbo àwọn ọmọ mi wọ́n ń gbé wọn sákàkiri kò sí àsìbìtù tí wọ́n lọ ní gbogbo Ìbàdàn yìí síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ náà ìgbà táwọn náà dèdè wọ́n tí àyàgbára wọn torí pé ohun tí ó ń ṣe ìyá wa ó ti pẹ́ rárá ẹ̀. After 2
years of operating quietly, SWIPI takes on more responsibilities and scales its operations.
SWIPI Initiative is like I said, a non-governmental organization interested in the orphanage, the vulnerable, and the elderly care. Because it's something I'm passionate about, I want to encourage them to collaborate with the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, because it's not something they can do alone. You still have to work with the regulatory bodies, and if there's some missing gaps or learning gaps that we need to identify, we should be able to work together, encouraging more training, standardizing care of the elderly, registering all those that are out there that are rendering care to the elderly people, so that we're very sure and safe. Old people are safe with those people that are being employed. We're sure that they know what they're doing, their standards, the rules and regulations and disciplines in case they go wrong about it. And like abroad, for the senior citizens over there, there's some benefits that they should be entitled to because they have served the nation. We don't really have that happening in Nigeria at the moment, but some of these things need to be introduced, because when they were in their youthful years, they really served the country, so it's really time for us to remember them and take care of them.
Aware that a tree does not make a forest, SWIPI welcomes strategic collaborations and partnerships with individuals and organizations. Hop on board today by visiting our website at www.swipinitiative.com.ng to sponsor, volunteer, and donate.